Hey guys, this is Ben Streeper here from 405th.com, Replica Prop Forum, Facepalm Props, and YouTube. Today what I'm doing is taking you through the processes of making the Ultimate Iron Man build. As explained in my previous video, I'm going to be taking every single part of this build, videotaping what I think is important, kind of making a blog for the entire build so that you can see what I do, how I do it, and just how involved it is for everybody. Today what I'm doing is taking the 3D files and breaking them up for the CNC machine. So this is going to be a very long, very complicated process and maybe broken up into several videos because it takes place mainly on the computer. What I'm going to do here is use Cam Studio and record my screen. So this is my first time doing that. I don't know how this is going to work out. But here at Facepalm Props, like I say, we showcase our failures just as much as our success. So I'm going to take you through everything, starting with where to get the files that Zabana and I created, and then how to break them up for a CNC machine. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the Cam Studio recording software, and hopefully my little mic will pick up what I'm saying. Alright guys, we are in the screen capture portion of the tutorial. What I'm going to do now is show you where to find the files. We're going to go to your internet provider, go up here to Google, go ahead and type in 405th, and then type in Ultimate Iron Man. And you'll come up with Ultimate Iron Man Peps Now Unfolding. Go ahead and click that. You'll see the files here. These are the original files that Zabana took from the game. Here are the modified files for a little bit more detail. These are the ones that I modified for Peppercure and then put up here for people to unfold. Now, as you can see, a lot of people still haven't unfolded them, but for our purposes, that really doesn't matter. Go ahead and grab whatever file you want to work with and download it. Once you've downloaded it, which I already have, go ahead and go to Peppercure Designer. In Peppercure, you're going to open the files. You'll see I got all the Ultimate Iron Man files in here now. Go ahead and pick a file. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and do the shin. On here, you're going to need to unfold the file first, since I already have this unfolded. Let me show you how I got the scale real quick. I'm going to import the foot. Now to import stuff, you have to already have unfolded it. You can just do a generic unfold. You can see over here with the foot, all I did is click unfold. But you're going to want to do the bottom of this file, which is the foot, and then the top of this suit, which would be the helmet. Ultimate Iron Man helmet, there we go. And you can see I've set these up to where they come in line. I'll go ahead and import some more here just so you can see what I'm talking about. Ultimate Iron Man chest, there we go, you can see the chest. What's going to happen here, since I've made this model in a correct human size, I can go ahead and scale it to whatever height I want. I have this one scaled to 7 feet, just a little over 7 feet tall. You can see that down here, the 2,219 millimeters. The reason why I've done that is because Ultimate Iron Man in the comic book is 7 feet tall. So once you scale that entire file, then you'll get a scale to apply to each individual piece, which in this case is 29.571217. So go ahead and cut that. Let's go ahead and open up that shin again. And you can see here 2D, change scale, scale factor. I have the same scale here. This is going to give me the correct height, width, and depth for each file by simply taking that, copying, and pasting it in. Alright, now that you have it unfolded, and to the right size, go ahead and save it real quick, and then hit File, Export 3D Model. Now, you can only do this in a full version of Pepakura and only with the model creator's permission. On these files, I don't really care, so go ahead and export them out. You're going to export it in here. We're going to save it as the name of the file. We're going to save it as an OBJ file. Save, and then go ahead and close your Pepakura viewer. Then you're going to have to open a 3D modeling program. For this instance, I'm using Autodesk 3D Studio Max 2010. This is going to allow me to manipulate the 3D model that we've just exported out of Pepakura Designer. The reason why we are manipulating these models, for those of you that don't have a CNC machine, my CNC machine is only 3-axis, which means I can only CNC it from top down. So we'll go ahead and import this model in so that you know what I'm talking about. Desktop. That's my Ironman. That's my Ironman machine. Import. What's going to happen here is I can only CNC it from one direction. So I can CNC down from the top, which wouldn't look right. I can CNC down from the side, this side here, and then I wouldn't get any detail over here. It'd just be this flat square block. Or I can CNC from this way here, and then all this would be one flat block, and so on and so forth. So to get this ready, what we're going to do is take this and break it into pieces. Since we have our full model selected, I went over to my editing tools. I'm selecting elements so that I can get rid of just key elements in this model. Right now we're going to go ahead and get rid of the knee and this little foot detail so that we have just the calf. Take the calf, select the entire calf, go over here to your modifiers list. You're going to go down to Slice. Slice is going to enable you to bring the slice plane in. This slice plane will actually cut the mesh wherever the plane is so that you have two parts. So here's where you're going to want to decide how you want to cut it and how you want to CNC it. For me, I'm going to rotate this. Go ahead and come up here and rotate it from here. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and then another 90 degrees. So you can see in this plane I'm going straight down the middle of the boot. And then here, since my slice plane is not big enough, I'll have to scale the slice plane so it's big enough to slice this fully in half. Now for our purposes, I only need one side of this, so I can remove the top or remove the bottom. And then finish the editing process. Now you see I only have one side of the boot, and I can CNC that and then glue it here to the other side of the boot. So we're going to go ahead and take this model and export it out. Desktop Ultimate Ironman. Alright. I'm going to export this as a 3D Studio model. We're going to call this shin half. And now we have 1/2 of the shin. While we got this in here and we're exporting things out, hit Control-Z until you're back to your original model. And we're going to manipulate it just a little bit more. Since we've already got our selections on here, what I'm going to do is get rid of this foot piece, get rid of this shin, and go ahead and export out this knee. Export, we're going to call this knee. And now we have the knee armor as well. Now, I don't know what you guys plan to do, if you're going to do this armor or not, but for this bottom piece, I'm just going to make that by bending some aluminum flat bar or something. So I'm not actually going to export that piece out. Alright, now we've got our model exported. We're going to go ahead and close this 3D Studio Max because we're done. And we're going to reopen Pepakura Designer. I know this is starting to seem like it's getting repetitive, but what you're going to have to do, go ahead and open your original Ultimate Iron Man shin. Now, because remember you saved it, you have it scaled. Go to your scale factor, go ahead and copy that scale factor. Now open your new file, which would be shin half. Blah, blah, blah. Go ahead and finish. Alright. And unfold it using that same scale. What that does is it gets us the correct height, width, and depth for this half piece. Now, save that for reference, miniaturize that file, and go to whatever you use to create your G code for your CNC. For me, that is Cut 3D. You're going to load 3D file. I've already done that, but I'm doing it for fresh for you guys. Alright, Ultimate Iron Man, and we're going to use shin half. Now you can see here, I only have half of a shin, and this is definitely not oriented correctly. So what I'm going to do is orient it to the right side. You can see I got my flat piece on the bottom, which is what we want to do, and all your detail pieces on top. Now for me, my y-axis is 16 inches. I'm sorry, my y-axis is 24 inches. My x-axis is 16 inches. So we're going to need to rotate this 90 degrees. That way I get my long here and my short here. Then you're going to have to enter in your scale. Now that scale you're going to get over here, always use your height. It's the easiest thing to go with. So 585. So I'm going to take this 585. Now everything is scaled correctly. Apply. Go. Here's where we get into our material sizes and our margins. I always start in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to be sitting right on top of the phone, so make sure that you sit that on top. Okay, what you got here, after you put your CNC into its start position, which is the y-axis, right here in the corner, or at least that's where I start mine, you want to make sure that you're at 0, 0, which says you're at the start of your positioner. Then you're going to want to put in the length of your actual material. Now here my X length is going to be 406.4 millimeters, which is 16 inches. My Y length is going to be 609.6 millimeters, which is 24 inches. I'm not going to worry about the thickness right now. The reason why I did that and how I found those, which I'll show you real quick, the easiest way to convert inches to millimeters is to use Google for everybody. So you can type in 16 inch in millimeters, hit enter, and Google will do the math for you so you don't have to think about it. So go ahead and do that for any kind of inch to millimeter conversion, and you're good to go. Alright, then you're going to want to put some kind of margin around the model. I won't go ahead and use silhouette, that way I'm not cutting forever. I usually put a 1/4 inch around the model, which isn't 0.25. It's actually going to be 0.25 inches in millimeters, 6.35. So you're going to put 6.35, and that'll give you a 1/4 inch around. Then we're going to come down here, hit apply. You can see that everything grew around the model here. And before we do anything else, we want to save this. Here we're going to create a new folder, call it shin half, and then save this file as shin half. We're saving this for reference at this point. Now, if you remember seeing me cutting that foam, I have to slice these on the Z-axis for my actual foam density. So we're going to slice this into foam selections. I'm taking that 3/4 inch foam and gluing 2 pieces together so I get 1.5 inches. 1.5 thickness is 38.1 millimeters. I just left off the 0.1 to leave me a little safe distance there. So go ahead and hit slice. We're going to save this in the same shin half folder, and it's going to slice the model for us. Now you can see it sliced this into 5 separate pieces. We're going to hit OK, File, Save again, and then File, Open. You'll start to open each individual slice of this model. Here we've got our slices. All the information is correctly filled out, so we've already done that before. All of this information here is correctly filled out, but you do want to move your starting point in your reference position. Again, I always use 0, 0 in the upper left-hand corner. And the reason why I do that is because I'm actually going to put this as far up to the left as possible. Now for the silhouettes, you're going to have to move them down to probably 0, just because the machine doesn't like where you say you have it. I'm not going to add tabs because I'm lazy, and I'm going to go ahead to the next section. Here you're going to have to set up your CNC for whatever you're CNCing with, but for our purposes, I'm using an end mill 1/4 inch bit. End mills are the flat tip bits for my roughing tool path. You can see I've already set my pass over depth, my step over depth, my spindle speed, my feed rate, and my plunge rate for my settings. So I'm going to raster this along the X and a Z level raster. You can do a 3D raster along X or Y, which for this case we'll go ahead and do that just so you can see what it's like. Here it's going to take 1 hour and 25 minutes to do this portion. Now if I do a Z level raster, it only takes 35 minutes. What the difference is, a 3D raster will actually curve with the object. A Z level raster for the roughing is just going to go back and forward and hit it where it needs to go. So it takes less time, and for me is a lot more productive because you're going to end up using your finishing tool path with, for me, which is a ball nose router at 1/8 of an inch. This is going to give you all your detail. Now I raster it at 135 degrees, and this does take a long time with my settings because I like to be, I like it to step very minimal steps. That way I get the maximum amount of detail possible. Go ahead and go to the next setting. We're going to create a cutout tool path. Again, I already have all that information filled out. You should too for your settings. We'll go ahead and do our preview here. Roughing tool path. You can see how it doesn't have any of the detail. We're simply just starting to carve out that shape. Finishing tool path gives us our detail. Cutout tool path removes all the excess, and then you'll have the piece that you're going to work with. Now as we zoom in on this piece, you'll see this is exactly how the piece is going to turn out in your CNC machine. You can see I'm still going to have to sand edges down. You can see here we've still got pixelated parts because this is a Pepicura model, and Pepicura would automatically smooth these, but this is exactly like the 3D model is. So you will have to do a little bit of hands-on work when you're CNCing these out for your finished piece. And then here's where you would glue the piece to the next model, and again, same thing below. Alright, you're going to go next, go ahead and save your tool paths. You can post-process it with any type of G-code that you like. I use G-code inch for my machine, so I'm using Mach 3 to run it, and that seems to be the best file for that machine, in my opinion. So we're going to save our roughing tool path. Here, this is piece 1, so we create a new folder. Piece 1, roughing tool path, finishing tool path, and cutout tool path. And you're going to repeat this process for all, let's go ahead and save this. You're going to repeat this process for all of these shin halves. Once you've done every shin half, Then you can reopen this piece, go all the way back to the beginning, and you can actually mirror it to create the other side. Once you mirror it, you'll go through the process again of all the tooling out, saving the files, and then you'll run the second half. Alright, and the next thing you'll be seeing is me cutting the foam into shape and putting this on the CNC machine.